Hi, I'm Cy Rogers, and I'm going to share some of my thoughts about the issue of sexual struggles in God's family. If you struggle, well, that doesn't make you bad, and it doesn't make God mad at you, but it does make you human and vulnerable. And as I've shared on a previous episode, you know, we do serve a God with a history of sexual redemption. But I want to take a look right now in our time at some of the categories of problems in God's family. In fact, there are 5 of them. According to clinicians, there are 17 categories of sexual deviation. We're not going to go into all of that list, but you could lump it up into probably 5 key areas that I find in my years of pastoral ministry occur again and again and again among God's people. And so, category number 1, I call it the common problems. Common problems such as adultery, where people today are not living by commitment nearly as much as they live by feelings. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to take a look at a soap opera and see the people breed like rabbits. And oftentimes, in spite of commitment, they find themselves attracted and they live by how they feel. And that's very easy to rationalize what you want when you live only by your feelings versus commitments. And of course, certainly it's more than just a black or white issue. There are varying shades of gray that set us up to violate our commitments. And so, adultery is a common problem, even in God's family today. But thank God we serve a God who knows how to address that concern and bring healing and restoration. I know some people who've even gotten divorced who later found the ability to heal and reconcile and go forward in a new season of marriage, having repaired those faulty foundations. Other people, their marriage may burn to the ground, but God can help the individual rebuild life and find purpose in God's family. Then, you know, another problem within the common category, kind of a subset, in addition to adultery, there's the issue of premarital sex. There are many people today getting involved in sex before marriage, and that's true in God's family, where research shows that Christian young people are demonstrating a rate of sexual activity just about equal to the world. Now, being the father of an adult myself, I've had to navigate my own child through all the various risks, and I can empathize with the challenges that face this generation in our media civilization, where when you ask young people in surveys, why are you having sex before marriage, even evangelical young people will often begin to unpack this answer. Something like this will be articulated. Well, you know, we didn't really mean to have intercourse, but on a date we started making out, you know, that touchy-touchy, feely-feely, and one thing kind of led to another, as it always does. And so even though they knew better than to have intercourse, the fact that they thought on a date they were entitled to making out and getting physically intimate apart from intercourse just paved the way to intercourse. In fact, you know, that touchy-touchy, feely-feely we call making out is really what would be defined as something else. Listen to the description. Physically intimate, sexual contact apart from intercourse, the purpose designed to stir you up and turn you on. Now, that's not just making out. That's the working definition for foreplay. And the point of foreplay is to pave the way to go all the way. So what we have are many young people, even Christians, thinking that they're entitled to make out when actually we call it foreplay, and it's no wonder they end up going all the way. Now, if that's you and you've crossed the boundaries and you've gone too far, I just want to encourage you that there's a God who forgives, who is abundant in mercy, and His understanding of our human frailties is clear. And if it's not been clear to you that He can wash you, even if you're not a virgin anymore, even if you went further than you thought, God would like to teach you how to get back in boundaries and regain dignity and self-control, put the past in the past, and move forward with new opportunities today. Also, I find that when a lot of young people get involved in sex out of marriage, they will often say, well, isn't that what you're supposed to do? Isn't that what normal guys and girls do? And that tells me you're listening to world culture, not God culture. And, you know, whenever young people say, well, how far can I go on a date? I'll tell you how far I think you should go. If you can't do it in front of your mommy and daddy, why are you doing it at all? And you know what? Very often they laugh at me because what they think I've said comes from Mars, which goes to show you that they've been brooding the stew of modern culture far more than they've been listening to God and His standards. And so it's true that by the time an American kid's 16, they've probably watched about 11,000 hours of television. That may be different to varying degrees around the world, but it's all true. We drink our brew from that stew of world culture, and we can't deny how it affects us. Kind of like a fish in the water doesn't always know it's wet. We get propelled along by these currents of culture that can lead us down the wrong path. And so if you have found yourself being involved in too much touch outside the boundaries, if you have a history where you've done things that now you realize I missed the mark. We serve a God, again, who's quick to forgive, help us to regain dignity and self-control, and maybe you need to work on that and get some accountability. But the bottom line is we serve a God who is merciful and redemptive. And don't let this take you from God, let it push you to Him, that you can know the assurance of His love and that He'll take every mistake you've made and make it work for good. And then let's get on a campaign to educate our people a little better, that we can choose better and walk better and not just mop up a mess, but help prevent it as well. That's my thoughts about that.